Hey everyone, this is Gleb Akhmetov, and today I want to show you my new plugin for Cypress Test Runner. The plugin is called cypress-rest-easy. Here's the situation. Imagine you have a to-do app and you need to serve it, right? For example, here we have npm start command that goes into the to-do MVC and fires JSON server, which serves a static front end and also has to include a JSON REST API. Okay, this is the data that it serves. We have a list of to-dos, and JSON server follows REST API conventions. And if you want to start the app and then open Cypress, I have a utility called star server and test. So locally, you would say something like npm run dev. So npm run dev starts the app, runs on localhost 3000, then opens Cypress. I can click on end-to-end tests, Electron browser is fine, and maybe, let's say, demo spec. And notice it resets the data on the backend. This uses my special middleware for resetting the data. Visits the page, enters a couple of to-dos for them, and then toggles and completes the second to-do in this list. Now, starting a web server and starting a separate REST API might not necessarily be the biggest challenge, but it's a little bit challenging. And you have to have some control over the backend data so you can reset data, for example. It would be simpler if we could just visit the static file and mark the backend. And it's nice for testing the front-end code. And our application is just the front-end code. The REST backend is very simple. So here's where our plugin can help. So I'll say demo rest easy, and I'll install the plugin as a dev dependency. Cypress rest easy. The installation is very simple, and all we have to do in our spec, adding items, demo, that's the one we're modifying. I'm gonna remove all of this, and what I'll do, I'll say import Cypress rest easy. And what I can do now is to define a config for the REST backend that I want for this test. You can also put it in a describe block. So let's say to do MVC, you can put it right here, and let's put it on the describe block just so we can see how it works. And by the way, the mock backend will be reset with the same data after each test or before each test. So right here you can say REST and then define all the REST API resources. In our case, we are only interested in to-dos, and I'll just say it's an empty list. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm gonna move VS Code to the right. And notice what happened. The test passed, right? Well, we're still visiting localhost 3000, so let me close Cypress. This closes the app as well. So this time I'll say just open Cypress. Don't start the application. So localhost 3000 is not running. And when testing, it says that localhost 3000 is not running. That's fine. And right now it has nothing to visit. But if we using our mock backend, instead of visiting the URL, we can say to do MVC. I believe it's index. Okay, and because it tries to visit the base URL, I'll just say base is null. Okay, notice we're not running the app, and yet our test is working just fine. And it's working because the plugin automatically created mock API endpoints and intercept those. So for example, it creates a get and to-dos, and the to-dos is the name of the resource right here. And you can have multiple resources. You can say users and so on. So you define a separate endpoints to intercept and mark for each one. I'm going to remove users. So we have get to dos. That's what the application uses, right here to load initial data. And notice we give each endpoint its unique name using the method and the resource name. It defines get a single item by ID. It defines pause, delete, and patch. In our application, the application used get to do's once to load initial data, and then it added 4 items by calling the pause to do's endpoint. One nice thing about this approach is that each test resets the data. So let's say it starts 0 items. So if we have another test in this block, we can visit the same page, confirm that it loaded, and then we'll say get li to do should have length 0. So the first test added 4 items, and the second test still has 0 items. One other benefit is that you have direct access to the actual data. You can say, after you check whatever you wanted, you can say, okay, the to-dos is Cypress and to-dos. So whatever is the name of API resource, cypress-rest-easy plugin adds it to the cypress-env, and it actually keeps the same reference, so you can get it at the beginning. And once you interact with the app through its UI, you can confirm, for example, that to-dos, 4 items, to have length 4 in that array. So let me just focus on this test. Okay, so you have direct access to the data of the mock backend. So in this case, you can either dump it into the terminal. Let's see. Okay, so this is our table in browser memory created by cypress-rest-easy plugin. All right, try this plugin. It has a bunch of little tricks that I think will make it very, very easy to use in the Cypress testing, where all you need is mock backend, so you can concentrate on testing really quickly the front end.